Good morning, welcome back to Direct Bird Products. I'm Shane, one half of the Evans and Ponting Partnership. Today I'm going to be running through majority of the things, which is the breeding, pairing up of greenfinches. But before I do that, I just want to answer a few questions that I received. I have been answering them up on either Facebook or on the comments on YouTube, but I think it's easier to read them out, at least that way everyone gets the answer rather than running through the comments or the messages that you don't see. So a couple of questions was rings for bullfinches, when to ring them. Obviously 4 or 5 days, 5 days being the maximum time, and you don't want to go over that because you'll have problems trying to get the rings on. They are a size D ring. You can get them from the British Bird Council or the IOA, International Ornithological Society, or IOA. I've got mine from here for the last 3 years. You get your own ring code with them, but British Bird Council, I was with them for years before that, and I've had no problems. In fact, the rings, you can order them one late evening, they'll be either there the next day or the day after. They are really good like that. The ones with the IOA are colour coded for whatever year. They obviously colour coded throughout the year. Last year's was green, which I had a few problems with the mothers rejecting the chicks, taking the rings off, which I've got a couple of greenfinches that I've got no rings on because of that. But it does happen, some mothers reject them, but I've never had a problem though with the British Bird Council ones. They are brown rings predominantly, so it's really up to you. What I will try and do is get the links for both of them. I'll put in the description, at least that way you can have a look for yourself. They're not expensive to buy the rings, and just become a membership of either one you choose anyway. At least that way you'll get all the information. They both offer brilliant information on such as like show standards, and obviously the IOA, you get a catalogue every year with what's going on around the world and different shows that they sponsor. So that is a really good thing. Now the next question was about goldfinches, and I can't really answer this one personally because I'm not really a breeder of goldfinches. They're just a bit unpredictable. One minute you can look at them and they'll be totally fine. You come out next morning and they'll be dead, the legs will be up in the air, and you'll think, what's caused that? And truth is, I just don't know. So anyway, the question was something about black seed in the diet. Like I showed you previously, the goldfinch seed, which I'll put the picture on, has got a lot of Niger and black rape in there. Now, like I said, I'm not the breeder of it, but what I'm going to do is speak to one of my friends who breeds average 1800 a year. They're Siberian goldfinches, all mutations as well, not just your classic type. He breeds pies and everything, and obviously he's doing something right. But one thing I will say is he gets the majority of his products from me, so technically I should know what he's feeding them, but it's going to be more along the lines of how he's feeding them throughout the year and things like that. So that's obviously something I've got to discuss. It may be like a phone interview type thing and me writing the answers down, at least that way someone gets something out of it, because obviously if this lockdown is going to be lasting as long, then obviously it's going to be March, April time, breeding time, before anyone will obviously hear it, because I can't go around there. So that's them two. Another one was mung beans. What are mung beans? Mung beans, like I explained to you before, in the soap seed, out of the soap seed, they're the ones that sprout faster than any of the other seed that's in there. We sell mung beans separately, and you can actually feed that to your birds as a green food if you needed to. I'll put a picture up of mung beans anyway. They are a great seed, but I wouldn't feed them on their own. They're obviously in the soap seed as part of the mixed diet. So if you want to buy a bag and mix it in with your seed, then by all means send us a message and we'll get them for you. A message was on good and bad points of greenfinches in show standards. The show standard of a greenfinch is varied, so somewhat. Some judges like them as big as possible, obviously. Big birds used to do a lot of the winning, but now more along the lines of smaller, cobby, but great colour bird, which is what me and Mark are striving for anyway. But all in all, a greenfinch should be as big as possible within reason. Colour wants to be grass green in my opinion. A nice thick set skull, really nice cobby under shape. I mean, anyone can see a good bird on a show bench. You can go and pick a good bird out, but if it's 10 crap birds on a bench, then you're trying to pick the best of a bad bunch, which is, in my opinion, that's the hardest job to do. But I mean, all the information about them I'll try and put in the link anyway, because it's few and far between a really good bird and a really bad bird. One really bad point on a greenfinch is you don't want too much grey. In fact, grey is a bad point altogether on greenfinches, especially around the wing bars itself. Some greenfinches show a lot, like the wild type, the ones you'll see in your garden, carry so much grey on the wing bars, where the captive bred ones that show standards, they don't, or they shouldn't have hardly any really. So that's the questions. I'll go on to a few bits about some of the products I've been asked about as well, and why we use them and so on and so on. Now, one of the vitamins that I've started using about 2 years ago, I first bought it up at Stafford. It's Versalaga Omnivit. I bought this and I've used it ever since. I mean, this is a fresh box that we've got. Now, the problem with Omnivit is, when I bought it from the guy, I was asking him some information because there's so much different vitamins and mineral products out there. The reason I like this one is I put in the actual egg food itself, but it did mention to me not to give so much with the cock birds because they become over aggressive, especially with greenfinches for instance, towards breeding season. Anyone who knows and breeds greenfinches knows that greenfinch cocks can be really aggressive. Now, I mix this, like I said, in with the egg food. It is 1 gram per 100 grams of soft food, but you can also put it in the water, which is 1 gram per 250 millilitres of water. I feed it on like that. Obviously, if you've got cocks in one flight, hens in the other, it's easy enough to do. But yeah, like I said, if you are feeding it 2 cock birds as well, just cut the dosage back slightly to not make them so aggressive. That's Omnivit. Obviously, people do know Fertivit. Basically, it's just for fertility. Another good product again, pretty much same procedure. All the instructions are on the box of these, so you can't really go wrong. 2 good products. I mean, I'm not saying that they are the best out there, just saying what I use. And one thing I will say over and over again, the way that I do things is probably, in fact I know it is different to how Mark does them. And there was comments on Facebook saying about the way I feed my birds. Now, everyone's independent of where and how they feed theirs, and I will stress it many a times, find what works for you and stick to it. My way is my way. This is all I'm doing it for, to show you how I do it. I've been in the game long enough to know what I've done wrong over the years and what I've done right, so I'm just giving you my opinion. Now, obviously, people have asked me about this Aviform Gold. Yeah, plenty back in stock now, and I think I explained it last time I gave it the last dosage. 10 millilitres of this to 100 millilitres of water. For 1 week, take it off. You don't want to be overdoing it. It's more as a tonic and stop and stress in multivit. Brilliant product again. Now, when it comes to mid-breeding season, you've got some birds there that the hen birds might not be feeding the chicks, or you just might prefer to hand feed them. You've got a bit more time. Sometimes I don't have the luxury, but I'll get the wife to do it anyway. the admix Onyx again. Seems to be everything's Onyx or Versalager, but they're a great company, great products. But the admix, I used this last year for hand feeding my starlings, which I've shown you in previous videos. Mix this with just warm water. I've got some made up just to show you, but I'll show you that a bit closer up. Mix it with lukewarm water to like a paste, and you can feed it through a syringe straight into a crop, or get a crop tube, feed it to them. It's another thing I think everyone that is a major breeder of birds should every year always purchase one, just in case they need it. Don't get caught out. It's not expensive, and for £11 that'll probably last you a full season. Hopefully you might not need it, but you never know. I mean, I know Mark, it has been seen on Facebook, someone was asking a question about an F2 hybrid that Mark bred. It's from initially a cross-bill greenie to a greenfinch hen. He got one chick out of it. It weren't intended, he just had a spare hen, and this was a spare hybrid that I'd sent him down. I didn't have no room, so I just sent it down there to him. I put them in a fly, she went to nest, hey presto, she had eggs, one was full. But the breeding to that was, the parents to the hybrid itself was greenfinch hen to a common crossbill cock. Obviously bred that hybrid, bred that F2 hybrid. There's so many questions if yours hybrids are fertile. I can't tell you if they are or not, but that proves the point that they can be. I suppose if every mule or hybrid that was bred was tried back again, I'm sure that results would come around where you would start seeing some young come off them. End of the day, the red factor originates from a red-headed siskin to a canary. So that was the first mule producing one. So I'm not saying it can't be done, because obviously Mark's proved it can be done. Now it brings me on to softbills. I was asked about the starlings, what I feed them. Now last year Mark concentrated quite a lot with the softbills. He had great ticks, starlings, pair of starlings, I sent them down. I think he lost one of them, the cockbird was chasing about, which I knew that when I had her. She went to nest for me and stuff, but that's another story. But what I feed them is a couple of things. Obviously mealworms, 100% every day, give them fresh mealworms. I've got lucky to have a good supplier, Pete Collins. Every time he's got them in, he'll message me and say what's available, and when he's passing he'll drop them into me. Brilliant. The other one is F16, just like a little orangish pellet. I'll put a picture on that. I do mix, in fact, with this All-Ups Unipatty. This has got everything in that you should really need to feed them on their own anyway. But I do remember years ago when my dad used to breed softbills, he used to, obviously that was the main staple of the diet, and he used to mix stuff like fruitcake and scones and sultanas together. I don't know, I've never used it personally, but I do remember it weren't probably 20 years ago, but that's all he used to give them through the breeding season. He bred a lot of blackbirds and songthrushes that way as well. Tonics the same. So yeah, I mean, I'm not a softbill guy. I have one or two, but Rob Brown, to name one of a few that is really into his softbill, so he's more of the questions than I could probably answer. Now, as you probably can see behind me, we've got a couple of external nest pans. This is one thing that so many questions about, what different types are good for this and good for that. These are two new arrivals. I'm sure they'll be gone in no time. These obviously just fit straight into the external one. Good thing about this one is it has two locking clips at the top. Pull out nest pan. Brilliant. standard type, straight in there with a standard jute or wool nest felt. You can actually, good thing you can see straight through them, see through on the nest anyway. So that's that type, and obviously the beige type, very similar. Pull up front, take out. The other one doesn't actually come completely off, it just stays down. Removable nest pan. More for canaries than other types, if I'm totally honest. But I have actually bred red poles in these chaffinches in this style. Anything will really breed them. Greenfinches at a push, they might not be deep enough, but you get the gist. So that's them two external nest pans. You probably might have noticed behind me there, that's where the bullfinches used to be now. As you'll see shortly, I did a bit of recording midweek of pairing up with greenfinches, and these are some of the surplus hens in this one, current year bred and adult birds, top birds further on. But I will run through some of the pairings with you, you'll see in the videos anyway. I've literally just caught them at the flight. I think there's only 2 or 3 in the cages that I was taking a look at, which were the current year birds. As you'll see a comparison to the adult birds. So yeah, we'll get on with that and show you some of them, obviously straight out of the flights, and how I'd pair them up. So this is 7 current year bred cocks, and we'll show you a couple more in a little while. I just want to take a look at these first, because obviously we're trying to pick the best of the best to breed, obviously for this year. So this is where I'm starting to think about obviously pairing up with hens, and obviously comparing them to one another. You've got on the bottom left, there's 2 brothers there. Not much difference in them, but one's slightly bigger and one's better coloured. So obviously, you know, they're at the same nest, same parents, but you do get different variations. So we're just going to have a quick run through. The top left is probably, from me, the better bird out of any of these. It's a nice coloured bird, good feather. Bit lacking a bit on the head, but we can put that back into a better hen anyway. Same in the bottom right. I like that bird. It's, for me, probably ideal size, good shape, good feather. But like I said, it's just a matter of picking what we think's best to put back to an hen. What I'll try and do is show you some adult birds for this, whether it be the cock or the hen, in comparison to what these are. And maybe we probably, once I've gone through them all, probably look to maybe put in the young cock bird to its mother, or maybe a young hen to its father, grandfather for instance, just to keep that line breeding going that me and Mark's been doing for a while. But yeah, I'll just show you some close-ups of each one of these so you can have a look, but obviously I thought I'd show you a wider view of them outside of each other. I like the colour on this one, stands well, so I think he's a definite keeper. I'd say with this one I've shown you earlier, this is the young one on the bottom right. So here is another load of current year bred cocks. There is already a big comparison in some of the birds. For instance, the top row, the one at the far left, a brilliant bird. The one in the middle top, That came off a really good coloured cockbird, which I will show you later on. It's actually related to the pink ring that Mark originally bred a long time ago. The brother to it is obviously on the right at the top. One thing I've explained before, obviously, you know, the one at the top in the middle might not seem much there. It is come straight out of flight, but you know, you do get these throwbacks that could produce a really good bird, and same with the one on the right, but you never know. But for me, obviously I've got better birds, that visually better, that I'm willing to work with more than the top two, middle and right hand side. But like I said, the one thing I do like about the one in the middle at the top is the feather quality. The feather quality on that is really nice. It's a buff bird, but it's not really, I don't think, going to make the cut, and same with the right hand side. Looking at the bottom row, really good feather on all of these, very typey. The one, the bottom right hand side stands quite leggy. I like it to be a bit more crouched down, a bit more on the underside of it, but I mean it's looking a different bird again now, it's where it's perched. I'll show you some closer up ones so you can actually see a bit more of obviously the type and the colour. Just before I put this back, this is what I was talking about. The obviously you can see the pink ring there on the cockbird. That's an older cockbird. I think he's 2 years old now, and that's his young one. Now the colour on obviously the pink ring is really nice, and that's the colour we aim for. But obviously he's thrown the one on the left out. But like I said, it has got potential to throw it back in again. But just wanted to quickly show you, obviously, the father and son. Just as a comparison. So these are the adult cockbirds, obviously we used last year, producing the ones I've shown you in the previous videos. One thing to note about these is these have just come out of the flight, but I mean if you even look to the bottom left, this he's got a yellow ring on. Lovely bird. Let me see if we can get him up for you. Lovely bird all round. I will show you a bit close up on him in a second, but just have a look through these. Some of these will be going shortly. Just sorting out through them now. That's the idea. So here again, father and son, father being on the left, son being on the right. The one on the right is the current year bird, obviously the one on the left is the over-year bird. So I just wanted to compare the two together to see what they're shaping up like, and as you can see they're about on track to where we want them to be. So the idea would be this young cockbird on the right would be going back to the mother, and the cockbird probably would be going to its daughter. So I'll be catching the hens up shortly, having a look through them, but I'm going to keep these two out separate so I can actually compare them to the hen birds as well. So because there's no point in just looking at cockbirds and not comparing it to an hen bird. Obviously you'd need to see that, see what they fall in and pick out the faults where they're going to rectify with the cockbird, or the same with the hen bird, picking out the faults in the cockbird to rectify it that way. Taking a look now at 4 adult hens. These what I used last year. Now the one on the bottom right is one that I will definitely be using. She's produced some nice birds this year. Great colour on her. I mean, to be fair, there's not really much wrong with any of these birds. The top left hand side one, it does lack a bit of size, but it does produce well. Here's another 4 adult hens. The one top left probably won't make the cut this year, just simply because the young ones that we've got outweigh what she's showing. I know that she can produce decent birds because obviously that's the reason we bred off her last year, but as the line breeding producers, obviously trying to keep the best of the best, but doesn't mean say this is not going to produce a lovely bird. But yeah, there is another 4 hen birds. The one that really takes my eye is the top right. The colour on this one, the video won't really show it that well, but the colour on this hen bird is really nice. Now the last one to show you is in comparison like I've been doing throughout. Current year cockbirds, current year hen birds. So basically the bottom row is 2 cockbirds. The right hand side is the current year bird, left hand side is the adult bird, so that's in comparison. On the top you've got the current year hen and the adult hen. So just to run that again, the right hand side current year, left hand side adult birds, just as a comparison for you. So this pairing is mother and son. The cockbird on the right hand side is this current year bred bird. This is its mother. This is just more to keep the line that we've established over the last couple of years going. I've got a few pairings, mother to son, father to daughter and so on. But just a quick look at them, and the reason I've carried on this pairing is because the hen bird's a decent colour. The cockbirds turned out a nice bird, to be fair. Never been in a showcase this year. They would have been more show prepared if the shows hadn't been on. But I mean, I'll let you judge for yourself. I think they're both quality birds, and if the shows were on, no doubt these two would have been in the current year class and the adult class. And one thing at the shows, the greenfinches and the redpolls are, for me, the biggest classes of birds that are shown. And even just to get a first in them classes of up to 30 is a real achievement on its own. Here's just a little close-up of the cockbird on its own. Great colour, I think. And this is a close-up of the hen, if you can get her up on the perch for you. There's no trickery here involved with lighting or anything. This is just straight out, straight into a show cage. Nice hen bird. more interested in eating. So this time is father and daughter. As you can see, the cockbird itself on the right hand side looks fat, but believe it or not, when I've just cut him up, there's not an ounce of fat on him. That is all feather. The hen bird, the young hen bird, not a bad colour, but I think she's lacking a bit of the shape, so this is why I'm putting the cockbird back to her to bring that shape out. And the cockbird's got a decent sized head, whereas the young bird obviously has got some developing to come, but I think this is a decent pairing to show what I'm trying to achieve. The hen bird's lacking something, the cockbird's got that, so for me this is a brilliant pairing again. When selecting breeding birds, always think maybe the year in front or the year in front of that what you're trying to actually achieve. At the end of the day, just throwing two birds together is not going to get you the best results. So just think ahead. If you, long term for instance, I've shown you with the Yorkies cross Norwich cross 5, that's a thought process that's been going on a few years to produce what I want to do for muling. Same with the greenfinches. Line breeding is the only way to get the best quality out of that family that you're breeding. So grandson, grandfather, all them stem from one another. If you've got a good bird, keep that line going. Like I said, bring father to daughter, same procedure, brother to sister, definitely don't do. You cause so many problems doing that way. Every once in a while you will need to add new blood. Like I said, we've got new blood in to add to what we've got. You will need to do that from time to time anyway, and it's not just with greenfinches, it's the same with canaries, red poles, goldfinches, it's exactly the same. One thing you will need if you are breeding greenfinches are prone for coccidosis, going live, or cocci some people know it as. There's plenty of products out there that I use. I know a couple of, well, one in particular, one of my old friends, really nice old fella, but he doesn't believe in any medicine, and he loses 1 or 2 a year, but really losing 1 or 2 to cocci is quite good because he doesn't use anything but wild stuff. There's a lot of collecting of dandelions and your wild green food and the seeds that we sell him. But personally, you put a lot of effort in breeding your birds throughout the year to get them going into the molt and lose them. I don't think it's worth it for 20 quid or whatever it is for baycocks, 15 quid, I don't know, I can't remember. It's worth putting in 1 ml per litre into your drinking water, all the way through the molt, does them a treat. And just for me, we have to use, I know there's a lot of people say, oh, birds shouldn't be on medicines, and especially with the goldfinch breeders, buying them in from Belgium, they don't know what medicines have been on out there. But yeah, I mean, for me, definitely, baycocks, like I said, there's basil, there's a load of different things for coccidosis now, but I'm a firm believer in baycocks, and that's all I use. It's not worth the risk of losing your birds when you put the effort into it. So anyway, I hope you like this video. I just want to say a big happy birthday to Mark Ponting. Getting old now, mate, but still a good lad, and hope you've had a good day. By the time you watch this, you will have, it's probably going to be night time by the time it's uploaded and things. But everyone keep safe, and like I said, we have got the A to Z of anything bird keeping. Send me any comments or messages with anything that you'd like in as letter A. Same with questions. Send me any questions in, and I'll do my best to answer the way I do it, or my knowledge of that, and I'll read them out in the next time we do a video. Like I said, I'm hoping it's going to be on goldfinches, for instance. But we've still got plenty to do. Still got to go through siskins. Not even had a look at them yet. There is a couple of nice normals there, a couple of nice pairs of normals, especially the hen birds. For some reason hen birds always catch my eye, same with greenfinches. Hen birds for me are different class than cock birds. One thing we will have doing in the next few weeks is looking at preparing your nest pans. A question that was asked again was carbolic soap. I've used it for years and how I prepare that. So that'll be an interesting one for you. Also, dressing the flights. I use conifer only. I have used Christmas tree over the years. I'm a landscape gardener by trade. I've got luxury of getting as much conifer as I want from my customers when I cut them every year. Not just they look natural, birds seem to love them, they spend all day, especially Costco's, and just picking away at them. And the smell from fresh cut conifers is next to none. Nothing better than walking into your shed, your flights, and smelling freshness. So that's one thing I'll be doing, and showing you where I put my nest sites and what nest sites I'll be using. Like I said, I do know Mark, he does things different to what I do with his dressing sites. I know he uses conifer still. One thing I will mention about the way he does his breeding, he might use 2 cock birds to all his pairs of hens. Aiding your bets slightly, hoping them cock birds don't fail. I, on the other hand, do the opposite way. I like to use a cock bird, if I've got decent enough cock birds that is, per hen bird. But like I said, this year I'm doing it more as a line breeding to keep what we've got going. So plenty to look forward to. Like I said, if you've got any suggestions on anything, we're always here, easily approachable. I know there's so many people who message me on Facebook about certain advice, and like I said, if I can help you, I will do. Anyway, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you can. I mean, subscribing doesn't cost anything. Just hit the button. I used to think when I first started watching YouTube, you have to pay to subscribe, because what's the subscription mean? You're paying for something, but it costs you nothing to subscribe. So when you get time, do that, and anyway, stay safe and enjoy your weekend.